What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here for the first VOD review of Set 14. So I was invited to play the Set 14 playtest by Riot Games. The embargo just dropped, so I am going to VOD review one of my own games on Set 14, Cyber City. Honestly, I can pause a little bit and explain some of these traits, because I know for a lot of you guys, this is probably gonna be your first time seeing these traits. So Exotech, just to start off with, is a lot like Ink Shadow, if you played with that, where you get these unique items. This game, I don't think I really play that much around Exotech, but I'll talk around the traits that I do play around. Obviously, we can't cover every single thing in this game, so I'll just cover the ones that are relevant as they become relevant. But yeah, I played a good bit of Set 14. I will say, if you get done with this VOD and you're like, I want to watch more Set 14 content, I'm going to be posting a ton of it to my VOD channel. Link is in the description down below. So if you want to see infinite Set 14 content, then go subscribe there and go check it out. But yeah, I had an absolute blast. It's an interesting set. I really like the aesthetics of it a lot. I will say, you know, if you're looking at Set 14 and looking at the set mechanic, it is definitely a bit of a smaller touch set mechanic. It's not one of these kind of like crazy game-changing set mechanics that, you know, makes everything insane. But I like that. You know, I like a set mechanic that doesn't completely shift the game. I've said this a million times before. So generally, I like the set mechanic. And when I was looking at it, it sounded to me a lot like Encounters. But there's some really cool things they've done with hacks that they definitely, you know, were never doing with Encounters that are really cool. So let's start off. First augment here, we got this new one, Cognitive Implant, which allows you to play more towards techies. Techies are an interesting take on like the sorcerer trait. It's like sorcerers, but instead of just being like straight up normal sorcerers, it also gives you damage reduction on the units that you hit with your abilities. It's pretty cool. Wandering Trainer, though, I mean, we're on playtest, so I gotta take Wandering Trainer, and we get Dynamo Emblem and Slayer. So Dynamo Emblem is kind of an interesting thing here. Dynamo is just a mana generation trait. Every, I think it's 3 seconds, it gives you some extra mana. And then Slayer is one of these kind of like AD bruiser type setups where, and yeah, you can hover over, boom, I'm a genius, I hovered over Slayer right here. So yeah, you get AD and Omnivamp, and then it's kind of interesting. Overhealing actually does something here. Heals the lowest percent health, Slayer 50% of the excess amount. So it's kind of like, gives you a little bit of that like Gunblade effect on the overheal, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we're gonna rotate here into an Anima squad. Well, they have an Anima squad +1. Anima squad's really cool. It's one of the ones that I got to play the least on the playtest, but the idea is it gives you, every time, it's one of those traits where as you put more in, you get like choices, kind of similar to like Story Weaver in the past. Oh yeah, and there's Dynamo for you guys there. If you haven't seen, it's every 3 seconds. Your team gains mana, and then Dynamos gain more. I think this is similar to like Scholar in the past was a trait that did something like that. But yeah, Anima Squad is one where every time you put in Anima Squad units as you go up the traits, you get extra, these like weapons. And the weapons, it's, you know, like every few seconds, it like shoots a little like blast at a unit or something like that. And it'll shoot from your unit, but it is kind of like a weapon that is, it doesn't really matter. It's not like buffing on specific units. It's kind of like creating this thing that it's like another effect on the board. It's pretty cool. But yeah, this game end up leaning into stuff like Dynamo, though. I bet, I mean, you guys saw the title of the video, right? This was a very Fast 9, Fast 10 style game. So I mean, you know, sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm thinking about how to fit these units in, because Misfortune is the 4-cost Dynamo that you're really excited to play around. She's a Syndicate as well, which is pretty cool. So Syndicates, they gain a little bit of HP, and they get this little hat. It's kind of like one of those like Dragonmancer selectors or one of those selector thingies, and that upgrades a Kingpin's ability. So for like Misfortune, she does her like bullet time, if you guys have played League, the pew 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 pew, and if you upgrade her ability, she just shoots a few more extra waves of bullets. Stuff like Braum, he does like kind of extra damage. He's a tank, but if you give him the Syndicate bonus, he actually does like a good bit of damage. So it's a cool way to kind of like transform these units when you just need 3 Syndicate to get in. Very easy to play Braum, and the other one there, Darius, that's Bruiser, and it's Vanguards this set, right? So it's pretty easy to play both of those. There's like the defensive traits, and then get the value of Syndicate there. And also I'm just showing off all of the Dynamo units there. Elise is another Dynamo that's interesting that you can play around, and the 5-cost Dynamo, which we will show off later, is Aurora, who is really, really exciting to play around. So I end up picking up Tier here. I also, this entire game, I have Kai and Disco. If you guys don't know Disco, who runs TFT clips and is also a fantastic player, but I have both of them just yapping in my ear this entire game, which honestly, I don't know, was... It was helpful. It's fun to have people backseat you, but also, like, I was kind of like, at some points in the game, I was like, what is even going on here? So I just level up here, opt to make sure that I can make gold here by keeping the Galio on my bench. Galio's a Bastion. Bastion, a repeat of the old Bastion trait where they just get a bunch of Armor Noir, and then early at the start of combat, they get even more Armor Noir. So yeah, just kind of a reprint there. That is the one thing that I will say about this set that is a little, I guess, maybe odd, is that there are a lot of traits that either are reprints or feel like reprints. So for example, I have Divinicorp on this board right now. You might have seen me hover over that earlier. Divinicorp is essentially just a reprint of it was called Divine? Shoot, what was it called? Where you had Heavenly, and then Guild before that was a version where all these units have a buff. So if you put Morgana in, I think you're getting, maybe it's Mana Gen, but yeah, all of these units have a buff. So Morgana has a buff, Vex is, a Divinicorp later, Vex has her own individual buff, I think it's like crit chance, and then those apply to your team, and then more for your Divinicorp units. And then, Slayer, Techie is an interesting take on like a sorcerer type buff, but obviously it's a sorcerer buff. Nitro, I'm just looking at the right, or on the left over there's a really cool one. I'm gonna do a video on that, which is really sick. I also have Cyber Boss on this board, which is a pretty cool one as well. It's another one of those kind of like upgrade ability traits where it upgrades your strongest Cyber Boss. So with 2 Cyber Boss in, I'm upgrading this Poppy because she has the item, and it just makes their ability better. It usually just makes their ability hit more units. So like Vagar's ability, he just shoots out a little blast, and then if you have the Cyber Boss version, it does a little AoE around the unit. Similar thing with Poppy, she slams down her thingy. If you have the Cyber Boss effect on her, then she, like AoEs and hits multiple units. So yeah, that's actually a trait I like a lot. Though the 3 Cyber Boss I did find was seemed like super bait. I actually in the kind of like playtest Discord, I was like, hey, is this like intentional? And Mortdog was like, yeah, it's intentional. It might be a little bit too weak, but all right, go into Augment here. I don't really want to take High Voltage or not today, obviously. Cower Weaklings is fun. We're not really playing around Cyber Boss, but Cyber Boss abilities reduce the target's max HP, and then they take 15% less damage from enemies with less max HP. So it's kind of a cool setup here, but I mean, I think it's fine for me to just take something like Epoch here and just have an Econ Augment. Yeah, that's the idea, at least. Honestly, I could even... Do I level here? I mean, do I have anything? Yeah, I mean... Oh yeah, you know what? Why not? Yeah, I level here and then start using some of my refreshes and getting some other stuff in here. I will say, talking about kind of this effect here of Techie, because I do have Techie in here with Vagar and with Shyvana here. Techie is just such a crazy two-piece. You really want to fit Techie in late game, because if you have a Techie unit like this Shyvana, who's hitting this Shaco here, who is a really cool unit that I can talk about, then you're already getting that unit is taking 10% less. That unit is doing 10% less damage. All right, here is the first hack of the game. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. So just pick one. You either get 10 gold or you split 30 gold with everybody else who chooses split. I have seen some crazy things with this. I get to the point where I just hit split every time, because what happened the first time, I guess I could pause and talk through. What happened the first time I did this is I picked split, and 6 other people picked split. And so we all got, that was 5 gold, and then the other people got 10 gold. And I was like, that actually really sucks. And so then I started picking just, okay, take the 10 gold, it's fine. But then I saw somebody who was a single person who just got 30 gold there, and that person just got a prismatic augment essentially, while we all got I guess a silver augment or something like that. So I've just become a splitter. It actually ends up in this situation where all the splitters, we have 3 splitters, so it just ends up being exactly the same as if nobody had split. So it's actually kind of hilarious. But yeah, I'm a splitter for now. We'll see. I wonder, I'm sure somebody will come up with some cool kind of game theory on the idea of well, if X person there's some people who will only kind of need 10 gold. They'll just say, well, 10 gold is enough, and so I'm happy with that. And there are other people who really need a big swing of a lot of gold, and so they're maybe people who are lower HP or who are going to need more gold for their roll down are more interested in taking split, because it does give kind of it has a higher peak. Is the kind of idea that I was thinking about, but I don't know. Because we are thinking of playing Nitro this game, I end up just taking Bow here. The idea being that I really don't need to end up actually like making mana items this game. Like I don't really need mana items at all this game. I can honestly just chill and go for full damage items because Nitro, especially when you, or Dynamo, I mean, especially when you get to 4 Dynamo does a lot. Oh, I guess I also do have Nitro on this board here. I randomly fit it and you can see the summon from Nitro. I'm gonna have a full Nitro VOD. This trait is so cool. But like similarly, like there is for almost all of these traits, there is an analog in a previous set. So the analog for this trait is like Namzi, I think it was called Trainers, where you put these units in and they feed snacks. And in this case, it's like they give kind of like cores and they power up this robot. And so they summon this robot here. And then once it gets to a certain number of stacks, it evolves. I think it's like 200 stacks. It turns into a dinosaur. And if you get to 4 Nitro, it just means that it spits out a laser beam. It's a really cool, one of my favorite summon traits so far, like of all time. I love summon traits like this that you're like excited to play towards. You know, I don't really love the summon traits where it's just kind of like a whatever, you know, like the Scion from last set. I really felt like I don't love the tanky summon traits. I want the summon traits that you're actually really excited to like play around that unit. I loved stuff like Abomination, stuff like Trainers, obviously. Oh, here's another hack, by the way. This is one that actually has been previewed already, but we get this little HP drop here. So everybody gets like plus 10 HP. So just a hacked orb there that can have some really cool stuff in it. It just gives me some HP there, but there are other things that it can give. I end up dropping down, well, not really dropping down, but getting into 4 Nitro here. And my idea is I'm just going to play to itemize this this Misfortune here, though I think actually, yeah, I do itemize MF here. Oh yeah, I did kind of like realize like I need, because all the other Nitros are AP, for some reason for a sec I was thinking that Misfortune is AP, but she's AD. So all my AD items go on her, and it feels pretty good. And I'm also sitting here level 850 gold, so pretty happy with that. Augments here, invested plus wand overflow, belt overflow. I think I just take the call to chaos here because it's fun. And what did I get? Oh, I get this dummy with the double attack speed. Honestly, I'm not the most excited about this dummy just because like, who really cares? I have Dynamo giving me all of this mana, so like, does the attack speed really matter that much? But I mean, it's not bad. I also have a Jarvan in here. He's a solid, he's a Vanguard here, I believe, right? So yeah, that's a good way to get Vanguarded. He's also a Slayer, kind of interesting. Vanguard Slayer, and then Ox Force. Ox Force is such a cool trait as well. It's one of the econ traits this set, and I had a blast playing a lot of games on Ox Force. Your units can drop gold when they kill stuff, and it has this really cool idea where like, this is one of the traits that's just completely novel, right? We've never seen something like Ox Force before. If you spend 8 gold in a round, you upgrade your Ox Forces. They get like extra damage amp, I believe it is. And then after you do 8 gold, next time it says, you know, if you spend like 16 or 12 gold, something like that in a round, then you get upgrade the damage amp again. And so you have to continue in one round spending these increased amount of golds. And it doesn't matter if you spend it on reroll or if you spend it on XP. It just says, you know, spent this amount of gold. It doesn't count like buying units, but it's on rerolls or XP. And so it's a really cool way to like upgrade your units over the course of the game, and also just the units can drop gold when they kill stuff, which is, it's always good to have units that drop gold when they kill stuff. Always feels solid. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm in my head, I'm just saying, I'm just gonna go fast 9. I'm so rich. I am so decently strong in this spot. Obviously we lost one of those fights, but it's, you know, not bad. I'm also like, do I really want to play this Vex? This Vex is a cool unit as well. She does this kind of thing. You can watch her. Well, actually you can't, because I got rid of her to play 4 Slayer here, which I mean honestly is like kind of whatever. I don't know why I even played. Honestly, I was probably listening to Disco TFT and he probably told me to play 4 Slayer, and then I was like, why am I playing 4 Slayer? And he was like, you know what, you're right. And I mean, yeah, like none of my Slayers are doing any damage over there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I got trolled by Disco TFT, but you know, many such cases. We see Zeri in the shop there. That's another unit that is quite fun to play around. She leaves these kind of like after images when she casts. She like auto cast, leaves an after image, and then the after image is autoing as well. So it's a weird kind of unit. And then she like dashes away to leave the after image. So she's a weird unit, but pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just looking to obviously go fast 9 here. Also, this guy has a really cool Anima squad set up. The Annihilator deals max health true damage. So that is 7 Anima squad there at that top level. And I was kind of like, what is doing all this damage to me? And I'm also trying to figure out what I want to play for as far as 5 costs. As we pick up 5 costs, I can talk through them. There's some really cool 5 costs in this set. I think they kind of knocked it out of the park with the 5 cost design on a lot of these. There are a few that are kind of just like whatever. Also, I over level here for epoch value, which like, whoops, okay, my bad. bad. Look, honestly, I was a little distracted during this game, but we're just going to roll down here. Here we see Zach. Zach is really cool. So you can see he is kind of like infecting my shop with these bloblets. And you can see every time I buy one, there's 0 gold. Every time I buy one, it flies over to Zach and it gives him extra AP and extra % max HP. So Zach is really, really cool. Also, you see when Zach dies, he splits into 2 bloblets that are just 2 smaller versions of him that can still cast and can do everything. The Zach unit was one of the most crazy units of the playtest. I mean, he just did absolutely so much. Kobuko is also really, really cool as well. He's a bruiser and a battle boss. Has no kind of unique trait, but does have like a really cool ability where he knocks up units and then you battle boss him. He knocks up a ton of units. He can do a ton of damage. And also, they made this Kobuko skin just straight up for TFT. Doesn't he look so sick? He has his own splash art and everything that they made. He just looks so nice, especially when you upgrade his ability. But like even that, just like all the little hexes that he knocks up, he looks so cool. He's such a fun unit to play around late game as just, he can kind of like carry as well. Obviously, I just throw tank items on him here, but yeah. Ooh, this is Garen. Do I fit Garen on my board here? I think I really want to. Do I end up? Yeah, I think I just end up dropping out of the center here. So Garen is he's a 0 trait unit. His only trait is God of the Net, which he doesn't share with anybody else. So Garen is the God of the Net. And the idea is you play Garen and 2 rounds later, you get the opportunity to open up a kind of like an anvil that has they're kind of like +1s. You know, they're kind of like you can get like a Dynamo emblem, but it's not exactly a Dynamo emblem. You can place it on a unit and it doesn't take up a slot. It doesn't take up an item slot. So I can, make my, who would I want to make? Like I can make my Zach a bruiser here, or I guess a better example is I could make my Kobuko a Vanguard here, even though he's already 3 items. So that's really cool. But to balance that, because that would be absolutely insane, it doesn't give you a +1. So for example here, if I got the Vanguard and put it onto Kobuko, I'd still only have 2 Vanguard in. So it's a really cool way to cap out your board to get these other traits, create these like really, really cool combinations where you can just guarantee it tailors it off your board as well. So I'm pretty likely here to get like Dynamo, or like I have Bruiser and Vanguard here. So you see it's taking from the traits I didn't get Dynamo here, but I do get, Bruiser, I get Vanguard. So I think I end up just Vanguarding my Kobuko here because, you want to put items, you want to make a 4-item unit essentially, which is what this is. I have a 4-item Kobuko here essentially. So really, really cool. If you do take Garen out, you do end up like losing those. But yeah, and you cannot have multiple before you guys think about like going crazy. You can only have 1 on a unit. So you can't create like a 10 trait unit or something like that. But still some really, really cool combinations you can create. And it's kind of like a 4th item on units if you have like deep into a trait. Like if I get a Dynamo +1 onto, some unit that I care about casting a lot, it's essentially like a full item that I'm putting on them. So really, really cool. I love God of the Net. Oh, and the other piece of it is that he scales up in the time. You don't just get one every 2 rounds. You get one every 2 rounds. Well, you get one in 2 rounds. And then after that, you get one in 3 rounds, you get one in 4 rounds, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we push level 10 here. We get Battle Boss in because this is so, so important for Kobuko. It makes his ability so much better here. And yeah, I'm just rolling down here and kind of realize like, wait, I can potentially play for 3-star 5+ this game. So we have Aurora in here as well. Aurora has a really cool ability. So you'll see the leftmost text on my board is highlighted here. And you see Aurora, when she cast here, she teleported onto my bench and then took that unit off my bench and put it on the board. So that Renekton came off my bench, went onto the board. And the other crazy thing is she's on my bench, but look at the Aurora. She's still doing her thing. She's still casting and doing everything. So she teleports to safety onto the bench there. Still, is auto attacking, still is casting. But then also she pulls in a unit kind of similar to like old like Syndra. That's the set I played in. I think Thresh used to do something like that as well. I think there was a version of Thresh that did that. I'm not 100% sure because I don't think I played that set. But, she pulls in a unit and she also does her own thing. She's so cool where she can be like a carry, but she also pulls in a unit. So yeah, just watching her on the bench there. And she has a really big ability. That ability does a lot of damage, hits all these units in a line. 3,500 damage there you see just from an Aurora 1. So yeah, and here you can see my next God of the Net. I think none of the other ones really do much besides Dynamo mod. So I think I just take Dynamo mod, throw it onto like Zach here just to get him casting more. It's not bad. And yeah, I'm looking for 3-star 5 costs. I realize, hey, this guy's holding Zac, this guy's holding Kabuko, this guy is denying all of my stuff, which is really, really annoying, actually, because, I mean, who doesn't want to hit a 3-star 5 cost, honestly? But you can see, look at the Kabuko ability there. That is his upgraded ability. He hits in a 2 hex radius instead of 1 hex radius. That's a huge upgrade. So that's why I'm playing the Cyber Boss here. I'm just playing Zig straight up for that effect, because it's really nice. Strategist is also back, though it's a little bit different from in the past. In the past, I think it gave, like, AP and shield. Now it gives damage amp and damage reduction. So I roll down a bit here, find some Renekton's. I realize like, oh, I'm actually like getting there on some of this other stuff. Throw strategist onto my Zac to just give him that damage reduction because he's on the front line. Yeah, if you guys haven't played with strategist, like all the frontliner strategists get damage reduction and then all the backliners get damage amp. So it's a cool kind of like form swapper type trait. Though, I mean, you know, you're usually, your frontliners, you want obviously the damage reduction on, the other ones you want the damage amp on. So, you know, kind of makes sense. Yeah, I think, yeah, Disco here was like, oh, can't you just cut Garen? And I was like, no, then you lose the other stuff. And he was like, huh? And I was like, yeah. So, yeah. But, I mean, at this point, I'm just chilling. We're both, me and this other guy, 109. I do not remember who this was, by the way. But, you know, there are a lot of fantastic players in these playtests. People who, you know, are, usually it's people who, I mean, it's people who haven't made the World Championships because all the World players are obviously prepping for Worlds. But there are a lot of really good players who, you know, make regionals and are really, really good and didn't make it to the World Championships, so it was fun playing with them. But yeah, I think once I see this chop, I'm like, wait, I could actually play for Aurora 3 as well. And I start selling off the other ones. I think I hold them for now, but I keep the idea of selling them. Though you will see something here. It's a bit of a disaster happens here. I want to pick these items quick, but I'm roll quickly and I try to pick up these blobs, but I actually don't pick up every single blob here, which is actually a big mistake and is kind of like the downside to Zac here. Actually, I do pick up a lot of these blobs. Honestly, never mind. I'm a beast. I did that pretty well. Maybe it's the next roll down. I don't pick up a lot of the blobs. Yeah, I think once I get like really close, I start not picking up the blobs just because I'm super overwhelmed. And I'm like, I can't pick up all these blobs. It's too hard. But you really need to pick up the blobs because those are shop slots that you lose if you don't pick up the blobs. So yeah, I kind of start not picking up blobs here, and yeah, Kai and Disco flame the hell out of me. They were like, you're losing, like there was for sure a unit under those blobs because like I'm losing all those shop slots. So yeah, kind of my B. I thought at this point, by the way, that I just lost the game. I was like, oh man, I fucked up. I can't hit my 3-star 5 cost. But my board has gotten pretty good at this point with all the +1s I've gotten. So this fight is so close. I'm like praying. I'm like, Mr. Mortdog, please let me win this fight. I need time to sell my board. And now I'm like, you know what? I just sell the Zac here just to make it way easier on myself. And you know, all I'm rolling down here for is Aurora. So we can just sell pretty much everything here and roll it down to try to find I almost sold my Aurora there, by the way. And boom, I hit it here like a beast. I don't actually have a unit on bench here, and I forget. Yeah, she just ends up like insta-casting there, which is pretty sick, and you can see boom, boom, she does insane work, 58,000 damage. She doesn't actually have like a unique effect yet. I'm sure once we get to like live, she'll have like a crazy unique effect, but actually on this version, she just, you know, is cool. And this guy also ends up hitting Viego 3, by the way, which makes it crazy. They were telling me to tell him to sell board, so I tell him in chat, sell board. I don't want to move my head, but because there's a lot of debug stuff there, but I say sell board here. I do buy this Zac at the end. I'm like, is this scummy or not? Like, I think this is reasonable because, you know, I need the effect. Though, I mean, look at the work this Zac does. And then double cast from my dude allows me to end up winning that fight. I keep my board sold here, but then I see this guy. This guy ends up buying out a whole board. And then I'm like, oh shit, I need to buy a board. Like, Kai and Disco are yelling at me here, buy a board. And so honestly, I feel like I make a pretty decent board here, but I do fuck up one thing where I buy this Zac just a fraction too early, which means I don't have anything on bench, which means that my board gets blown up and my guy cannot get to safety. And so this Viego then just clears my entire board. So it is a 3-star 5 cost second, which is, I mean, absolutely hilarious. But hey, that's playtest for you. That is how these early games end up going. But yeah, I mean, it was an absolute blast. Honestly, I had a ton of fun with the Aurora 3, with Dynamo, everything. I mean, so far I've had an absolute blast with this set. I guess I will say just kind of my last impressions. Yeah, like I would say this is not like the set that's going to like, you're going to see stuff and be like, though there are some really cool traits in this set, but like, I think this set is just a really, really good, solid, fun TFT set. Like there's nothing in the set that is completely mind-blowing, but it's just the aesthetics look great, the traits are fun to play around, the set mechanic I think is quite solid, though there might be some stuff that's hard to balance, which maybe we'll talk about in future videos. But it's a fun TFT set, I had a blast, and I think you guys will have a blast as well. PvE comes out Tuesday, so you only have a few days to wait for that, so that should be really fun. I hesitate to say this, but I might be streaming today as like right around when this video comes out and just playing more of my VODs and just like talking through them on stream. So I guess if you haven't already, follow my Twitch down below and you can see some more of that. But thanks as always for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, Twitch down below, Metafy down below. If you guys want to get a head start in the new set, we probably shouldn't do coaching like now, but like, I mean, once we're decently into PvE, I'm down to do some like new set coaching, or like once we go live. But yeah, catch you guys in the next video. Thanks as always for watching.